let's talk about some Unearthly Cosmetics eyeshadow palettes. I have to show you the Sorceress Smoke Palette and the remastered Fall Magic. I do believe they released this one last year with a bit of a different layout, and they have since then upgraded and added and subtracted some of the shades. So this is like a new and improved palette, and these palettes are pretty expensive. I did use my Friend Seeking Shifts code to save some money, but these color stories just really spoke to me and I just really wanted to try them out. And I am, spoiler alert, so happy that I did, because these shimmers in here are just something else. So first, let's talk about the Sorceress Smoke Palette. This is honestly kind of like my everyday kind of eyeshadow palette. I love the tones in here, and the shimmers are just absolutely everything. I was just so smitten by the color story and the theme and everything about this palette. There are some multi-chromes and some duochromes, and just overall, all of these shades are super, super extra sparkly and delicious. And some of them have just tons and tons of flex throughout them, just make them really, really special. The Fall Magic palette is obviously a bit more fall themed. I love that there is tons of depth in this palette. All these shimmers are, again, so, so beautiful. Extra sparkly. I mean, the texture of these is absolutely unreal, and I am so excited to have both of these palettes in my collection. Again, we have some topper-like multi-chrome, shifty, duochrome, special, dimensional shadows at varying types of opacities. So I'm going to be creating 2 looks with each of the palettes, and I'll give you some of my thoughts at the end of the video, so let's get right into it. I'm going to be starting out with the Sorceress Smoke palette. I did use this palette off camera already. I think I want to recreate the look that I actually did. So I'm taking Vision and I'm going to pop that into the inner half of my crease. And this is going to be a halo eye. So this is going to go on this half. And then I'm going to be using the green on the outer half. And then I'm going to deepen it up. So next I'm going to go into Herbal. And that's just going to go onto the outermost half, including kind of blending it out here a little bit. This is the new mini brush, the 14 mini from Refer. I've been really trying these out just to kind of get an idea on what I feel like they're going to be best used for. And these are definitely too small, I think, to be blending brushes per se. Like they're very pointy. I really like them for adding depth very strategically in certain areas. But otherwise, they're not very blendy. They will get the work done, don't get me wrong, but I just want to make sure that I really get to try them out before I go ahead and do a video on them. So next I'm going to take Soot, and I'm just going to pop that with the same brush, the 14 mini from Refer. I'm just going to pop that onto the very lid. Before I bring it up, I just want to get it on here first, and then out here, and I'm just going to connect my lower lash line just a tiny bit. So now that I have this down, I have a little bit of fallout, but really small amount. I can just kind of brush up. So next I'm going to wipe off this brush, and I'm just going to slowly start to blend this upwards, but I don't want it to kind of overtake this area too much, so I'm going to go into Vision and just layer it and just create a little bit of depth there. And then I'm going to wipe off my brush again, and I'm taking a little bit of Herbal, and I'm just blending this outer corner with a darker matte. I'm actually going to go back with a little bit of Soot just to bring it back, but I'm being very, very, very careful about how much I pick up and place down with this brush. And then for the center of the lid, I'm going to use Sorceress. I'm so excited. I did use it with the Fair Pixie Epoxy, and it wore really, really, really well. But I do also just want to show you application with dampening my brush. And that's for sure going to get a different kind of effect. So I did dampen my brush after I picked a little bit up. I do feel like I'm getting just a little bit more fallout than if I was using my finger or I had down a tacky primer. So I'm actually going to go in with my finger. Usually like to use my pinky, and I definitely picked up a lot more, and that is significantly more opaque. There's so many beautiful sparkles throughout this shade, and I'm just gonna feather the edges. So I feel like with this shimmer in particular, if you want a very, very light touch of sparkliness with a lot of sheerness to it, I definitely recommend using a brush. If you want it to be a little bit more opaque, go in with a tacky primer and a finger application. So here's the first finished look. For the second look, I'm taking Eucalyptus and popping that right into the inner half of my lid. I don't know why it's not focusing. And so this shade is a little bit more of an army kind of green versus like a pukey kind of green, like herbal. So this one does have a little bit more depth to it for sure. And I'm using this Game Beauty E07 brush. And I'm just kind of blending it out here. And I think I actually kind of brought it up a little too high there, but that's fine. And then I'm just gonna wipe this brush off, and I'm actually gonna go in with Prophecy. And I'm gonna pop that onto this outer portion of my lid. And I'm just kind of really blowing this out. A little bit underneath my lower lash line. I just want this to be super blendy. Super, super blendy. And just a little bit more. I feel like I could get this more opaque if I was using a denser, less flimsier kind of blending brush, but I really just want this to be quite blown out, as I mentioned. Taking a little bit of Intention. I feel like this one's a little lighter than I thought. I'm just gonna pop that kind of down here. I'm gonna blend it into the orange just a tiny bit. I feel like this is a super grungy kind of look. And I'm going to use my Fair Night Pixie Epoxy. And the way I'm going to use it is to do a fake half cut crease. So really going to try to get a sharp edge and then just kind of swipe across the rest of my lid. And I'm just going to tap on it a little bit just to take any excess off with my finger. Picked up Transfixed, and it's going to go right into that harsh edge. See how that applied in comparison to the other shade because it is over a tacky primer. And then I'm going to take Vervain and I'm going to pop that over the rest of the lid and underneath. These shimmers are just absolutely stunning. I have almost no words. The moment I opened this palette, I was like, yep, zero regrets. It is such a beauty. So I didn't want to bring in soot this time to deepen it up, so I thought I would kind of deepen it up with the shimmer instead, which is why I'm using that. So this is just such a sparkly look. So here's the second finished look. Onto the Fall Magic palette. Super, super excited. Picking up Forage, and I'm just gonna tap that first right into my crease. And then going to start blending it out and up. And up here, I'm just going to blend it out. I'm not going to take it all the way around. Just going to leave it right here. Super, super pigmented. I'm gonna go in with just a little bit more. I want it to be really, really punchy in here. And then I think I'm gonna do an eyeshadow wing. But this time I'm going to do it a little bit larger. So I'm going to take it kind of all the way this way versus just like a little bit. I'm taking Earthy and I'm just going to start underneath my lower lash line and then start winging that out. And then I'm just going to tap it on and connect to my top lash line. And then right here is where I sometimes mess up because I got to make sure I get this shape right here correct. So I'm just kind of filling it in right here, and I'm just putting it on an angle. And then you can see right here as my eye opens, I have my hood right here, so I always try to just get it up in here, and I'm just blending it inwards. And I'm just going to take a little bit more out here and here. I'm going to wipe off my brush because I don't want to add any more pigment to this wing. I just want to sharpen it up. Just like that. I have a very small amount of fallout. I'm going to take the Fair Night Pixie Epoxy and I'm going to pop it right here onto the outer portion of the wing. And I'm just gonna take that same brush I used to map out the wing since it's nice and small. And I'm gonna take leaves. Oh my gosh, this picked up so nicely. And that's gonna go right on top of the wing. Look at that, that is so twinkly and sparkly. Oh, this is such a beautiful shade. I'm just taking it over here a little bit too, which I don't really have glitter primer on here, but it's still applying very nicely. And I'm going to connect it to my lower lash line. We're just going all out with the shimmers because the shimmers in here are just so stunning. So the more the merrier, at least in my opinion. So I'm going to put more Fair & Pixie epoxy on the rest of my lid. And I'm going to tap on it just a tad. And I'm going to take Autumn. And it's going to go right into the center. And just a little bit onto the inner corner, but I'm really trying to keep it out here. And then I'm going to take Crisp on the inner corner. This is an interesting color sandwich I got going on here. A little bit unexpected, which I like that. I'm going to actually pick up Autumn with my pinky. Look at that shine. And I'm just going to layer it on a little bit more to see if I can really get it a bit more opaque. And then I'm going to do the same thing, wiping it off my pinky. I'm going to take a little bit of Crisp. Look at that. And just kind of tap it in here. Whoa, that's like neon almost. And then I'm just going to use it as my inner corner highlight as well. And then I think I'm gonna use this brush once again. This is like a Hakuhodo brush, and the number has worn off, so unfortunately I can't let you know what exact brush it is, but I'm sure you can find something similar to this shape. Just taking Forage underneath the rest of the lower lash line. Here's the first finished look. Onto the second look, I'm picking up Spice. And I'm just going to pop that into the crease. I'm just kind of laying it down first. And I'm going to wipe off my brush and I'm going to pick up a little bit of Cozy. I'm just going to bring that just a little bit above. So they're essentially kind of mixing together. And just creating a really nice, easy blend. I mean, look at that. That took like, what, I've been filming for 20 seconds or something. It was so quick and so easy. I'm just going to go back in with a little bit more Spice. And just really blending out here. And then I'm going to take a smaller brush. This is the Makeup Shack T63, one of my favorites, and I'm picking up Snug, and that's just going onto the outer corner to, you know it, deepen this look up, because I mean, look at this palette, it needs to be done. And I'm just slowly blending this outwards and a little bit underneath my lower lash line as well. And then I'm going to wipe off this brush and I'm picking up Cozy. And that's just going to blend into that. I feel like this is very much giving like leaves kinds of vibe. Taking a little bit more Cozy out here. Just really trying to just merge it all together. So I picked up Magic, which looks kind of like a essentially black base kind of multi-chrome. But like super sparkly, definitely a bit of a different kind of texture. Still very smooth, but I feel like it's a different texture from my other black base multi-chromes that are this color. And then I'm going to take Enchanting also on my pinky. And it's just going to go right here. I did not use any sort of glitter primer. I'm just going right in with both of these shades. And so foiled. Like, oh my goodness. I feel like this one is a very gold yellow looking rather than it looks very pink. And I think it's just because of the way that the pigment is and also just the pairing of the colors in this look. Love it. I'm going to take a little bit more Magic just out here. It's like kind of missed the spot. I can see the shift here like crazy when I go like that. The second finished look. First and foremost, I love the theming. I love the packaging. I love that it gets the theme across via the choice of font as well as the background, but it's not too busy, and I do feel like, again, the vibe is very much reflected on the inside color story as well of each of these palettes. And I gotta say, I'm so happy that I bought both of them, because I definitely did hesitate a bit because they are so expensive. First, I'll talk about the Fall Magic palette. Obviously, it is no longer fall, but I think that this color story just withstands kind of any time of the year. I don't think I'm just going to be reaching for this in the fall. I love the addition of the corally pinky shades in here. I think it's a fun take on a fall color story, but we also have the grungy tones as well. I need to use this purple next time I do a look, so I'm probably going to be featuring this palette in a reel, so stay tuned for that. But I cannot wait to use these shimmers some more. I did not wear test this palette, but I did wear the Sorceress Smoke palette, and the shimmers seem to be the same formula. And the shimmer I wore in the Sorceress Smoke actually didn't crease on me, which I was amazed. I did use it over the Fairy and Pixie Epoxy, and I did prime with the Be Perfect eyeshadow primer, but I do want to test these palettes out and these shimmers and the mattes on other primers for like longer than a couple hours of wear time for sure, so I will keep you updated if anything changes. But I could tell from just the way these shimmers feel that they will probably not really crease on me because of they are not squishy, they're not really too emollient, they're still very beautiful, slick, silky, smooth. But let me tell you, this is the kind of texture I would expect from a really high-end, very expensive luxury brand, which none of the brands really give us anything like this. Maybe Charlotte Tilbury kind of with that more recent holiday palette, but I would say I actually prefer this formula to that one. The only other shades I think these remind me of in terms of formula is the Patrick Ta Face Holiday Palette, where there's the 4 shimmer shadows. I have a dedicated video on that one. I feel like there's a little bit of like twinkly kind of texture similarity there. So I think purely because of how beautiful this texture is of these shimmers in both the palettes, to me, I think that this purchase was 100% worth it. And the mattes performed so beautifully. They are that really, really great unearthly matte formula where they're just super, super pigmented. They blend very easily and they blend together. There's no weird patchiness going on. This is the kind of matte formula that I really thoroughly enjoy the most. So Fall Magic palette remastered, 10 out of 10. Absolutely stunning palette. Let's move on to the Sorceress Smoke. As I mentioned, this is for sure a bit more of like an everyday kind of palette for me. I love the assortment of the different shimmers in here. I love that there's some more topple-like neutral leaning shades that are still very, very special. They might not be multi-chromes, but they're super, super special, and they have just so much dimension to them. A lot of these have also a bunch of different flecks throughout them. Specifically, this shade down here I could just see all the different color sparkles throughout it when I applied it, and they're just absolutely stunning. I would say probably do your eyes before your base if you don't already, just in case there's any fallout, but you can for sure minimize the fallout if you use some sort of a tacky primer, or you mist your brush with some water, or use a finger. I didn't experience too much fallout during application. And also would like to mention, when I wore the Sorceress shade for 12 hours to work, I had almost no fallout. Again, it was over the Fairy Pixie Epoxy, but still. And I honestly thought when I first swatched these that I would get some sort of fallout with these, because they are just so beautifully kind of like PC and ethereal, just so stunning. And you can really layer these over the mattes. You can also get one and done looks for sure with the shade Potent and Sorceress, but they're very topper-like, but also they can be built up and be a bit more opaque. The mattes, again, 10 out of 10, beautiful, same formula as the Fall Magic mattes. I just love this palette so much, and really hope that whatever amazingness is in these two palettes, this is what I want to see in every eyeshadow palette from now on. From Unearthly Cosmetics, of course, maybe some varying textures of shimmers, but honestly, if you just give me this texture forever, I'll be very happy, because this is like exactly what I love. It's not flaky, it's not squishy, it doesn't hard pan, it feels absolutely luxe. and it looks luxe. So anyways, enough raving about these two palettes, but of course it is totally up to you. If you don't like these color stories, if there's even just like 1 or 2 shades that you do not see yourself wearing in these palettes, you might not want to invest the money in it, because I do think that at this price you really want to make sure you're buying something that you know you will wear and get good use out of, even though you could totally just go and swatch these every day and just get like so much serotonin from swatching these shimmers. But that being said, they are a little bit on the expensive side. I do understand why the palettes are so expensive, because again, the shimmers are just so good. Chef's kiss. And I like that not all of them are multi-chrome. Some of them are just really beautiful, special shades. So I would love to see more of that. But again, I understand that that might mean that there's going to be more of a higher price tag. So those are my thoughts on the palette. I do believe that they are up on pre-order on their website. This is actually the second pre-order, and it came much sooner than I thought it was going to, which I'm very, very happy about. I think that Unearthly has just come a long way. They have improved lots and lots of things about them as a business, and I really do love to see that. Let me know in the comments below if you picked either of these palettes up. Are you on the fence? What do you think? It is gifting season, and I think either of these palettes will make a great gift to you from someone else. Keep that in mind. For sure, a great gift, I would say, for the holidays and just all year round to use these palettes. And that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.